Hello, everyone. I'm Lacey. This is Lieutenant Dan, and you are watching Reptiles. So, this week, friends, let me tell you, we're in a heat wave, and it's roasty toasty outside. And after work one day, I decided it's way too hot in this world of ours, so I decided to go swimming. So, I jump in the pool, do some floating, and I start thinking about sea snakes. Now, sea snakes, really cool. They live in shallow, tropical, subtropical waters all around the world, except not the Atlantic Ocean, which, okay, I guess, but everywhere else but the Atlantic. They're haters like that. And I thought sea snakes are sea snakes, right? But they typically fall into two categories. True sea snakes, which come from the family Elapidae, and sea kraits. Now, they're different in a couple different ways. Sea snakes, they have their bodies laterally compressed, like fish, so it helps them move through the water and propel themselves through the water. Sea kraits, on the other hand, they retain their nice, round, regular snake bodies and have a paddle-like tail south of the cloaca to help push them through the water. Now, because sea snakes, true sea snakes, are laterally compressed, they don't go on land. They can't really get around too good. Think of like a fish flopping around, right? It can't do too much. But sea kraits, they can go on land, and they go on land to lay their eggs, and then they go back in the water and live their happy lives. Now, they can also live in fresh water, which is pretty cool, which true sea snakes cannot. True sea snakes, well, what are they supposed to do if they don't lay their eggs on land? They give live birth in the water, which is pretty cool. I love that. Now, while they're in the water, what would you think a snake eats? A sea snake, a sea krait. What do you think they eat? Because it's not exactly like rats are out there swimming around having a good time. They'll typically try to eat bony fish, seabirds that they can find, little sharky poos, and of course they are venomous, which helps them get their prey. Now, they have a neurotoxic venom, sea kraits and sea snakes. Their venom is neurotoxic, which causes paralysis, which leads your diaphragm to stop working and therefore your lungs to stop doing the whole breathing thing. So that, as you can imagine, in the water, in the ocean, is a bad thing. So this toxin is very good for their purposes of hunting prey. Now, they're all venomous, right? Except there's this one snake, this one true sea snake, that is called the turtle-headed sea snake. And this one is not venomous. They eat fish eggs. They like caviar. They are big fans. So I would imagine that they are very classy. I'm sure that they have monocles in the wild, would be my guess. But it's the wild. They don't just eat everything. They have predators, and they're typically being hunted by dolphins, which is kind of crazy and kind of cool, and sea lions. Sea lions have been found throwing them up every now and again up on the shore, which, maybe it upset their tum. Haha. But back to some of their adaptations. Super cool. So sea snakes, what they have this little gland in the bottom of their mouth that helps keep them from having too much salt. It collects some of the salt and they spit it out later, which is kind of cool. They're kind of like a rock iguana. They just spit out the salt. So then they don't die from hyperkalemia, which is excess salt, too much salt in the body. And also, you would think they live in the ocean. Do they breathe underwater? No, they don't. Sea snakes, sea kraits, whales, these are some of the non-fish vertebrates that come to the surface to breathe oxygen. They gotta do it. That being said, they are amazing at holding their breath underwater. Some of them have been known or theorized to have been diving down 200 meters deep into the water column, down into what's called the twilight zone, where I imagine they are all Team Edward. Because, the breathing thing. He's probably a fan as well. Now, the next thought that some people might have is, would this be a good pet? No. No, it wouldn't. They do. People have tried to keep them in captivity. They've tried really hard, and I think there's a couple aquariums in Japan that have managed it. But getting them out of the ocean is a struggle. They stress, they die. You get them in the aquarium. If you don't have all of your parameters right, if you don't have like a round tank or a tank with rounded edges, then they run into the edges of the tank until they go out like Corky, the killer whale at SeaWorld. And the ones that have been held in captivity, it's really hard to get their diet right, to get the right food, because some are so specialized. But they just hide out in a piece of coral and they just kind of stick in the shadows and be very shy. So maybe not the best aquarium animal. But if you really want to see sea snakes, sea kraits, I suggest going to a tropical portion of the world and going swimming. And if you see one, stay away from it. Like, leave it alone. Let it live its best life. Now, they're not known to be super defensive. They're not likely to bite you. They're just kind of like, hey, that's weird. I can't eat that. That's too big. Leave me alone. And you leave them alone. They leave you alone. And you can be like, wow, that was a really cool snake in the water. Neat. I would probably suggest going to Australia. That seems to be a really good place to find them on the shores. But otherwise, like, they're kind of hard to see. Like, I've never seen a sea snake. I've never seen one in person. And that would be really cool to see in person. Oh, hi, buddy. Daniel doesn't like the water, so he's hiding out and being shy today. But that's today's video. Just want to do a quick little blurb about sea snakes and sea kraits with a couple things I learned, because they seem pretty cool. We love it. We're fans. Let's go sea snakes. If you liked this video, or if you found it mildly entertaining or interesting, don't forget to hit like. Please subscribe. It helps a lot. And even maybe share with some of your friends. And finally, stay cool out there. This heat wave is no joke. Stay nice and chill in your own way. And always remember to never stop learning, because a mind is a terrible thing to waste. Have a good week. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to do a thing. I have a mustache. I'm trying to do a thing. And here's a cat. He wants to be included, you know? He wants to be included. He says, I'm like a reptile. Did you see that, Mom? I have a tail, he says. Buddy. Yep. That's Cat. That's Cat. He wants to tell you about sea snakes and sea kraits, since he is a water professional and he knows all about the ocean. You know all about the ocean, don't you, Lumpy? Yes, sir. Yes, sir, you do. Has backstory, I guess. My guy, what are you doing?